What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown City Geekcast. My name is Steady. Joining me once again is the man behind the magic, you know him as Joe Garcia.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everyone, and a big shout out to Jericho who's watching live right now.
Hey, there he is. Hey, get on the show when you're ready, sir.
I
Get on
know.
the show.
Jericho, just get on the phone, dude.
Just get on the phone. We'll do a call in. It's good. We'll make
Yeah,
it work.
we don't even have to show you on camera, dude.
And last but not least, my partner in crime, the one and only Matty B.
Give me a cheers, Joe. I know you
Oh,
got
yeah.
one. I know you got one.
Here we
Cheers.
go.
Cheers. Cheers. I'm glad
You
to
gotta pick
be
up
here,
the
guys.
pinky. You got to pick up the pinky, Ted, because I know you're drinking on your bougie beer.
Again, just green tea.
Oh man, come on, Teddy.
My bad.
Hey,
All
Ted,
right.
are you excited
Yo.
to be back? It's been a couple of days.
I'm excited, and also you know we've had a busy weekend. If you're following us, if you're following the social media channels, you've seen how busy we've been, and I'm starting to feel it a little bit. I'm starting to feel it. I got a good nap in today, so I'm ready to go. We got a lot to talk about,
Is that what
so
the old people do nowadays? They take naps.
that's what they do,
Yeah.
especially when they're busy every weekend at conventions like we've been recently. So yeah. Thank you guys for joining. If you're in the chat, say what's up. Also, what did you enjoy more this weekend? The premiere of She-Hulk or the premiere of House of the Dragon? Drop it in the chat. We want to hear from you guys. Today we're going to be talking about our adventures at the Summer of Santa Carla, the Lost Boys 35th anniversary event that took place here in our hometown of San Antonio, Texas. We had Corey Feldman here, Jason Patrick, Billy Worth, Tom Mack, Gerard McMahon, who wrote "Cry Little Sister," the theme song for the movie, and also the other Fogg brother, Jameson Newlander. He was also in town. I'm going to talk about my experience there. Maddie B was also with me for one day, so we'll talk about that later in the show. We're also going to be talking about the premiere of Marvel Studios' She-Hulk on Disney Plus. That was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, we cannot ignore the fact that we have episodes, new episodes taking place in Westeros. Of course, I'm talking about House of the Dragon. The premiere was yesterday. Hopefully, you got a chance to watch it. If you didn't, there's no whole lot to spoil. There's no big plot twist or anything that I feel like we're going to be talking about. So, by all means, stick around, join the conversation. What did you think about the House of the Dragon premiere? Before we get to our general overview takes, and Legacy Nerd, I see you. What's going on? Then did I go to Feldman's performance? I did not, unfortunately. We had a very busy Monday, so I couldn't make it. But we'll talk about the event in a little bit. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time. Back to House of the Dragon. Before we get to our overview discussion, this was the biggest premiere on HBO Max in history. Just to kind of put it in a little bit of a perspective, right? The original Game of Thrones series, which came out, 10 years ago now, we're talking about, had a premiere of 2.2 million in viewership numbers back in 2011. So actually, a little over 10 years now. 2.2 million. That was a premiere. The premiere for House of the Dragon had 9.98 million in viewership numbers. So clearly, a massive premiere for this series. I think everybody's just curious, and plus, Game of Thrones, picked up a ton of fans over the last 10, 11 years. So,
They
of
lost
course,
a lot too. They lost a lot of fans too. Let's
but
not
you
forget
know what? I think people are still intrigued. Even the ones that have a sour taste in their mouth, and let us know if you guys feel the same way. Even those that have a sour taste in their mouth from the final season, you still are tuning in because you're curious. How is this going to fare? Everybody knows the DB David Benioff and DB Weiss aren't involved in this one, and depending on how you feel about it, they are either the reason why Game of Thrones didn't do so well in its final season, or they're the reasons why we even have a Game of Thrones in the first place. So, depending on how your outlook is on that situation. But gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. Let's just talk about general overview. Joe, start with you, my friend. What was your sort of instant reaction, instant take, your general overview for the premiere episode?
I thought it was a solid introduction, a great history lesson, kind of tying things in. You got to see some familiar friends if you've watched Game of Thrones. So, all in all, I mean, just the nostalgia factor of showing some of these characters, in action in their prime, I thought was a great thing to watch, especially if you're a Game of Thrones fan. And just the overall aesthetic, taking you back to that timeline, to this particular timeline, the prequel, and showing how the Targaryens, how impactful they were, in this whole lineage here, So it's really fun to watch. It's a slow burn, you got to build up, and you're getting fed a lot of information, especially in episode 1. So I was really intrigued by it because this is more established than the Game of Thrones series, because this was actually already written down in as books. They came out as books, so you have more of a, I guess, more of a storyline that you can borrow from or lend from. So I think it's going to be really good. And episode 1 just set the tone for what's to come.
Absolutely. And Matt, I know you said earlier before we started, you didn't really get into the whole Game of Thrones of pandemonium when it was out, but you did watch the premiere episode of House of the Dragon. So, as an outsider in a sort of way, what did you think about the premiere episode?
Yeah, and so before I preface what I'm going to say, if I start to get into something you're going to talk about later, I don't want to step on the toes, so definitely cut me off. But as a first-time viewer in this world of Westeros, I didn't watch the original series. I was very intrigued with the politics of this world. It felt lived in. It didn't feel too brand new. I still feel, and even when I was watching it with my girlfriend Lauren, she was still very immersed, like she had been watching it. And so I noticed those little things, and I thought that it looked really great. I like Matt Smith, and I watched The Crown. I know it's not the nerdiest show of all time, but I watched The Crown, and Matt
So
Smith
do I.
played Prince Philip there, and I thought he did a good job in that. I liked his him as an actor, and I love the role that he's playing here as Daemon Targaryen. And he had some really cool scenes in there. The brutality was still alive, and it was just kind of nice on a Sunday night for the whole internet to be kind of watching the same thing again. We haven't had that in a long time, where a great majority of people on social media are reacting to something at the same time. So it was cool. It was interesting. I'm definitely going to tune into episode 2, and I think that they're going to do well with this. I think they're going to learn from their mistakes, and from the last season, of course, because we all know how that went.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say
And you say that it was nice that we're all watching the same thing. Wasn't nice for a whole bunch of people because HBO Max started crashing, and I am actually also one of those that I was trying to watch the series premiere on the app, and the app kept crashing. So I was like, all right, let's just go to cable then, because I know this is on HBO. So was able to watch it on HBO, but I tried for like a good 5, maybe 10 minutes trying to use HBO Max, and the app was crashing. Massive numbers. They were not prepared whatsoever. And hopefully, you over watching us right now, hopefully you guys didn't have any issues and you were able to eventually watch it. But yeah, tons of server issues with just the sheer amount of people trying to watch this premiere episode. I'm also going to piggyback off you guys. It felt like it was a huge production value. Also, Legacy Nerd called the same thing out. He says, definitely feels expensive. I
hmm
would agree. There's a huge production value. They didn't shy on any of that. It's great seeing King's Landing again. Now that we've seen it in rubble, we've seen it in sheer destruction. it's great seeing it sort of in its heyday. Everything looks so different, um, you know, but the sets are massive. The production value is huge. I am intrigued by the story. I was also mostly. I will get into a little bit of details now. I was very surprised that they're leaning into the prophecy already. Like, hear me out. Stick with me on this. This is what's very interesting to me. This is all about the Targaryen family, right? This is all about their rule. I felt like this was going to be a very political driven series with people just trying to, take the crown from one another, much like Game of Thrones was, right? But then you drop the prophecy on us, and you did it in such a way where it felt like the audience needs to take notice. And here's what I'm thinking: will the prophecy actually play into this show? Which, if you would have asked me, do you think the prophecy is going to have any sort of impact on this show? I would have said no. We are nearly 200 years before the events of the long winter happening again, and the Night King and the White Walkers and all that. We're like more than 200 years away from that. Like, I don't think we're going to have to focus on any aspect of the prophecy whatsoever. But they call it out, and they did it at the end of the episode, and then they played the Game of Thrones theme song, and it's like, what are you doing to us? This is the biggest cheese in the world. Like, you shouldn't touch on anything. We're not supposed to worry about this threat, right. It's starting to make me think, what if what if they decide to do something to bring in moments, bring in something? It shouldn't make any sense. New subscriber, Rick Kane. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you joining. I'm curious, Joe. You also saw Game of Thrones. Does it feel like to you they're going to sort of dabble with this prophecy a little bit? I expected zero
Yeah,
to do with anything related to the original series. This feels like they might actually do some things we weren't expecting. Do you feel that way as well?
I think because it's 200 years to its successor, it hasn't happened yet. There's plenty of room to start introducing or setting up events that will play out in Game of Thrones. So, it's going to be interesting to see where all this is going to go. We've only been privy to episode one, and they already left you with the cliffhanger. So I'm excited. I want to see episode two now and see where this all goes. I'm excited to see what type of characters they're going to introduce and how everything's going to play out. I mean, they've already set up the family dynamic, and we know
Right.
that already with the Targaryens. Now they're going to start setting up other aspects, and other characters are going to be introduced. And then the game's really going to start getting fun, So that's what I'm waiting for.
I love this comment. Braxton says, but couldn't pay for solid wings on Damon's helmet.
Braxton, I know Braxton. He is a big Game of Thrones fan, and he was
Ooh.
all warped into the world. And I was living in Oregon at the time, and he kept trying to get me to watch it, and I wouldn't watch it. So, shout out to Braxton there.
Braxton, let us know, because like Joe, like myself, we watched the original series,
Yeah.
and I expected complete um separation from anything related to the original series, because you again, we kind of talk about this with Star Wars. You put yourself in a corner when you start creating a series like Kenobi, right?
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
have to write in a way that leads to the events of A New Hope. With this series, House of the Dragon, it's so far behind. Sorry, it's so far behind the original show. I still feel like you have some freedom. Yeah, there's certain things within the lore of Game of Thrones you have to make sure play out the way they do, but it's not like it's leading up to the birth of the Mad King. At least I don't think it is, or anything like that. So I feel like you still have some leeway there. But to drop the prophecy on us like that in the way that it does, I'm also curious that the prophecy is so widely known by the time we get to Game of Thrones because all the Starks are talking about it. It's like it's almost like a running gag by the time the premiere episodes of Game of Thrones comes around because all the Starks are like, winter's coming. It's just the running gag now on from now on. They're not necessarily thinking it's going to happen tomorrow, but they're like, yeah, it's kind of sooner than later. It's like Armageddon, like, yeah, Armageddon's coming. But it's so like widely talked about. The prophecy is probably not widely known, right? The prophecy being the prince that was promised and a Targaryen has to be on the throne. All that stuff is probably not widely known, but everybody's talking about the threat or the long winter that's coming. So that's curious. When do the rest of the folks start figuring this out? That's curious.
Yeah,
The
it kind of felt kind of like the Book of Secrets, where you have one president that passes on the secrets to the next president, his successor. And this is kind of the way this played out. Hey, I'm going to tell you a secret that's been passed on from one king to another, and I thought that was pretty dope. We're going to see who's going to spill the beans, at this point, who's going to uh, go ahead and reveal the secret, to everybody else. Because, like you said, by the time Game of Thrones comes around, it's like that's the ongoing joke. Winter is coming. Winter is coming.
Legacy of Nerds still in the chat. That would be something if someone here ends up being the Night King.
Yeah,
Kind of switch
that's
it
what I'm
up.
waiting for. I'm kind
That
of waiting for
that could
that.
be the case, but it's 172 years, right? Is the time
Well,
span difference?
before Daenerys is born, that's what they said, right?
Yeah,
So she's what, like 14 or 15 by the time we first see her
yeah.
in the first season. So I'm kind of just saying 200 because it's like around there, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably more what you said.
I just thought it was interesting that and it's like kind of a nerdy take for sure. But the Industrial Revolution sped up things for us so fast. It's kind of funny to look back at this medieval time, and now there's a 172-year time difference, and nothing is really that different technology wise. Like they all kind of still have the same tools. They do the same thing. I guess we have the sort of car seats for the dragons. Maybe that's kind of a different play
The
from the last.
luxurious car seats at that as
Right?
well.
Yeah. That was interesting because they never did that before. It was more just like, hang on to something. And it's like, what? What do you hang on to?
Let's put a
Yeah.
rope on my dragon. I'll be all right.
Um, Legacy of Nerd, you kind of got me thinking. And here's the obvious choice, right? Now, listen, I'm not saying this is going to happen because the Night King had already been established for like longer period of time, right? Like closer to 1,000 years, maybe that
Mhm.
he's actually been around, and they already showed us his origin story. So unless they retcon what he originally looked like, then we probably shouldn't expect it. But if they decide to retcon it, damn, wouldn't that be something if it was one of these characters? That would be interesting. But I feel like that's a big retcon. Do you upset some fans who are already on board with the origin story they gave us in the original series? Joe, what do you think?
I was looking at some of the comments here from Rick Kane. He's saying he's also a geek, but he's more of a sci-fi geek.
Okay.
And he's
Ooh,
also saying thanks for appreciating it, buddy. He put that comment up here. So thank you, Rick, for subscribing. So I'm sorry, Ted. I was looking at this looking
Yeah.
at the comments.
you're
I had a quick
good. You're
take.
good.
I had a quick take on this, and it has to do with this show for sure. I'm wondering what you guys think. What do you think this is going to do to the Rings of Power?
No,
Because that releases in 2 weeks,
it's gonna have to
and
have a high production quality to keep up. So yeah,
do
man.
but do you think that's why kind of the story line went that way? Like again, I didn't watch the show, so the prophecy that's a big thing to brought up. Do you think they're kind of bringing up major storylines a little bit early because they want an investment of viewers before Power of Rings drops in 2 weeks?
I think it's a smart play, Maddie, actually, to go ahead and reveal something this substantial, right in episode one, it does grab your interest. It's almost like when you're watching an anime, for example, they always leave you at a cliffhanger, so you got to come back and watch next week.
Next time on
Next
Dragon
time.
Ball Z.
Exactly. And then speaking of which, I did see the new movie on Friday with my boys. So
I saw it too.
I'll
We'll have to talk about that later.
we'll have to
Yeah,
talk about that later. Yeah.
yeah,
Which new
But
movie?
yeah, I think that's what they're going to be doing with the House of the Dragon. They're going to start setting it up with cliffhangers. So you actually, got to come back and watch to kind of compete with the new, the
yeah.
new series that's going to be coming out here on
And they're
Amazon.
kind of set in the same. I mean, maybe not the exact same time, but I mean, it's kind of the same aesthetic, right? A lot of the same popular tropes in shows and of this type and stories of this type. I'm very interested to see how the Lord of the Rings does because I don't as big as the Lord of the Rings got. I don't know if it ever got as big. Game of Thrones was huge.
Oh
Game of
yeah,
Thrones was monumental worldwide, and that's not to say Lord of the Rings wasn't, but can the Rings of Power in a couple of weeks, and we'll come back and review it, I'm sure. But are they going to be able to step up? Because from a new viewer perspective, I thought this first episode of Hot D was was really good, and I'm going to be invested in the next episode. I'm hoping that they can hold it together for the Lord of the Rings, and we can have two great shows of that type. But I don't know if we can.
yeah, man. The
I
one thing that really stuck with me, man, is that birth scene with the queen. Man, that was
Oh,
ooh,
that
that
was
was
brutal,
brutal.
dude. Brutal, man.
Yeah,
that was it was tough to watch. And plus, like the way they did it with the tension, like building up towards it. It was like don't do it, don't do it, don't. I
Yeah,
mean, it's so it's hard, it's tough, and it's one of the things we probably didn't see in the original series, unless you count the demon baby that the Red Witch had. That was
yeah,
a whole different sort of labor pregnancy thing. Shadow baby, I think they called it shadow baby
yeah.
or something like
Shadow
that.
baby.
Yeah, let's see. Legacy of Nerd in the chat. Wouldn't it be cool if they pull Back to the Future 2 and they pull It's Your Kids, Morty, but in reverse? Hmm. That'd be pretty dope. Rick says he's a big sci-fi geek, Star Wars, Star Trek, Alien movies. He also said Prey was good, which we all agree with you, Rick.
Oh, I
He's a
don't
big
know.
Lord of
Ted
the
gave it the lowest rating out of the
well,
bunch.
Yeah.
it's still a positive rating. Rick says I'm also a Lord of the Rings fan as well, and Game of Thrones and Back to the Future. Legacy of Nerd says Game of Thrones is popular, but people live by the Tolkien books more for almost 100 years. Yeah,
Well,
definitely. And the
Jesus
big,
was around 2,000 years ago, but if they release a Jesus movie tomorrow, it's not going to do Game of Thrones numbers.
you never know. It'll be like Top Gun 2. It'll make $1 billion.
Yeah,
Passion of the
maybe.
Christ.
If
Passion of the
Jesus
Christ
with only
2.
a mustache and a fighter jet.
Ooh, there you go. The prequel. You guys are talking about Lord of the Rings. I know we both have heard, we've all heard really, that the production value for both of these shows, the cost for both of these series is monumental, like breaking record type of stuff.
Yeah,
So I
millions of dollars
feel
per
like
episode.
per episode,
Yeah.
tens of millions actually per episode. So I feel like they're not going to falter on that aspect of it. I do feel like Lord of the Rings might have more going for it because they're able to tell this very interesting story that we all know about, whereas the House of the Dragon are based on books that maybe aren't as well known by George R. R. Martin. However, the fact that they're leading so much into the prophecy and about things that we do know of and that we are aware of, as far as the events that play out in the original Game of Thrones series, that is so intriguing to me. What are you trying to do? Why are you playing with my heart like this? Like you were just supposed to do the Targaryen bit, like make it interesting and all that stuff. But what if like they decide to have some, I don't know, you can't introduce White Walkers, right? Nobody's supposed to know about these things yet. So quit playing with my heartstrings. For real. Like if you're not gonna do it, I don't know why you said it. Unless it's just like Joe mentioned, you're just trying to catch the attention of everybody, right off the bat. and maybe that's just what they're doing. This is all just to get us hooked on the show, and we'll just keep watching from here on out. But that was episode one. Matt Smith was great. He's fantastic. He's much better as a villain in this than he was Morbius. That's just me. It's just my opinion. I don't know
Yeah,
what
Morbius
you
was a
guys feel
stinker.
like. Oh yeah, definitely. I liked his jousting battle
Oh
with
yeah.
Sir Cole. That was really interesting, and I wonder if Sir Cole's gonna be playing a much bigger part. It kind of feels like he might be a future love interest for Princess Rhaenyra. I don't know if you guys felt that way, but it kind of feels like they're gonna be playing into that a little bit. And
Maybe, but the brother gets a lot of action. He gets around.
he should, which one? Talk about Damon?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but the niece is Rhaenyra, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Sir Cole, it was the night that Damon was fighting.
Yeah. I got that, but we'll see. I mean, there was a little bit of I guess of a girl crush. They're like, "Ooh, look at him. Ooh, ah," and he comes
Yeah.
and asks for a favor, so
Hmm.
there you go. He's trying to shoot his shot.
Absolutely, that'll be interesting. I think we're in for a very intriguing series. 9 episodes to go. Gonna be a lot of chasing the crown, really. And
Yeah, the successor.
Will Matt Smith prevail? That's what's gonna be interesting.
I think
They're
this whole
they
thing is going to surround a successor, Ted. Actually,
I do too. I think this show is going to have a lot more to do with internal politics than world-ending scenarios. I think that the way that they, at least it looks to me in this first episode, and again, I don't have the backstory, but I think they're just kind of setting up the way that the Damon interacted with the king's daughter. I forget her name. When he was giving her that family heirloom, he has a very sort of almost like Scar and Lion King type of vibe, you
yeah.
know. And so I think that there's going to be stuff there. And I think that we're going to find out that he loves his brother, but he might love power more. I think he's going to be a pretty much the main antagonist for the series. And I could be wrong, but that's the way it looks like it's setting up for me.
yeah, even his sister, the queen who wasn't. I think everybody at this point they're showing that they have a claim to the throne, but some feel like they're more deserving than others. So it's going to be again very interesting to see how the dynamic plays out. And the treachery that's going to be unfolding within
Hmm.
the family dynamic because the power is to be the successor, and even though you might be named the successor, doesn't mean that you're going to actually live to see the crown thrust upon you. And if
Yeah.
you do, you're gonna have to do some Game of Thrones things, like we've all been
Hmm.
privy to with watching the series, the original series.
Yeah, I also am. I'm also intrigued by the queen who wasn't, because we got sort of just a glimpse of her in the first
Yeah.
episode, but there's clearly more there. There's still more animosity. So while we're all focused on Matt Smith's character, Damon, I feel like
Or something in the underbelly. Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
gonna play a much more pivotal part in all this. Who's gonna kill the king? That's the question. Somebody's gonna
Yeah.
take him down. I'm not sure who it's gonna be, but yeah, this is all very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. The media outlets who have already sort of gotten a glimpse of future episodes have said that it's even better than Game of Thrones. Are they talking about the first season? Are they talking about Game of Thrones as a whole? I'm not really sure. And of course, they could just be, just throwing stuff out there to make more interesting headlines. But it is quite intriguing. Legacy Nerd says, I agree about the show being political. One thing to remember: the first few seasons of Game of Thrones was a lot of talking. Also, a
Yeah.
ton, a ton, and also by the end of the first season, some very surprising deaths. I'm not going to say anything because Matt hasn't seen it yet,
You haven't seen it?
Hmm.
but if I don't want them to play the same beats as Game of Thrones. if we're all expecting a surprise death by the end of season one, of like a huge main character, like that would be playing the same beats as the original show, and I don't want that. I want you guys to do something different, do something interesting, do something original-ish, but I don't want to see it coming. I want to be surprised, and I don't want to be sitting there thinking like, oh, Viserys is going to get it by the final episode of season one. Viserys is going to get it. Viserys is going to get it. If he gets it, I'm be like, damn it, I saw this coming. Everybody saw this coming.
Maybe
I
he
don't
doesn't
want
even make
anything
it to the
predictable.
end of the season.
Hey, that would have been surprising. If he would have died in the first episode, I would have
Yeah.
been like, that's new. I did not expect that. But yeah, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what else you guys thought about the premiere episode of House of the Dragon. Love the runtime, love the production value, love the dragons. Super sad about the queen and the baby. What did they kind of? I don't know if I missed the exact moment when they tried to tell us the baby had passed. Was it when the doctor was holding him
Yeah,
that
because
there
you
was
can hear the
complications?
baby like he's gurgling, like he's having trouble breathing, and at that point, he's kind of the doctor, the physician, kind of turns around, is kind of wanting to say something to the king, because I think at that exact point in time, that's when the infant had passed. You know.
Yeah, they played that really subtly, and I even missed it. I'm just like, when did the baby die? I
Yeah.
had I also had the show on a very low volume because my daughter was sleeping, and
No,
I
man.
did not want her to wake up while I was watching it, so she could have seen Matt Smith doing his thing.
The
I did
orgy
not want that
scene.
to happen. Yeah, I think that's what mostly people are talking about
That would
on
have been a
social
big
media
oops.
today.
That would have been a big oops.
Extremely.
It's not child friendly. I'm sure everybody knows this by now.
Absolutely. Legacy Nerd says, "Ooh, the twist is the baby is still alive." I mean, he is a Targaryen. Can't burn him.
Hey, Rick Kane is going ahead and letting us know his collection, his plethora of uh,
Yeah.
music. You know what he likes to listen to, and hey, man, I'm here for it too. You know, he likes REM's "Murmur" and "Reckoning." He says they were part of his childhood. He listens to a lot of 2000s music as well. You know, that's the thing. We all kind of grew up in that era, so I listen to that as well. You know, so one of my favorite bands is Smashing Pumpkins. So I try to see them when they come through town. I just saw them at the Tech Port FSA when it just opened up. So yeah, man, I'm all for that era of music.
That must have been fun. I wanted to go to that one too, but they sold out pretty quick.
It was really good. I brought my tickets right when they went on sale, and it was a good showing, man. But we're digressing, dude. We got to keep moving forward. I'm ready to pop my second beer as we get ready to move on to our second segment.
Well, I'm gonna go get one then.
Hurry up, Matty B.
All right, but here's the thing. I want everybody in the chat to know we appreciate this. Look at you guys.
Yeah,
The interaction is the best thing about doing a live show. Sometimes it's like, am I talking to air? But whenever you guys are giving us comments and the love, we always appreciate that, no matter what it is.
yeah, greatly appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Definitely. You said Smashing Pumpkins, my favorite band has always been Perfect Circle. Came out early
Oh
2000s.
yeah,
I've never missed them. Just saw Billy Howardell, the lead guitarist for Perfect Circle, in Austin last month, and had everything imaginable signed that I could because Billy's just the man, and I absolutely love him. I'm not afraid to say that on a live stream. All right.
your man crush. That's your man crush.
He's a genius, super inspirational, super knowledgeable guy. All right,
That's
moving
all
on.
good. All good. I'm waiting for Matty B to come back so I can pop my second beer. But let's go. Let's move forward.
We want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you guys thought about the House of the Dragon premiere. If you're with us now, if you're watching this video later, or if you're listening to us on podcast form, send us a message on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Insta, or you can email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowncitygeekcast.com. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought about the premiere episode of House of the Dragon, and also give us your theories. We're going to take receipts here. We're going to take some notes. Give us your theories. Let's see what plans out. Let's enjoy this Game of Thrones episodes, or at least episodes in the Game of Thrones universe, are back again. This is a glorious time. A new era has begun. All right.
All right, Matty
Uh,
B, you ready? You ready to pop it, man?
No, I was always going to throw up after Ted's outro there. You Game of Thrones fans crack me up. All right, here we go. Bingo. That's two
Cheers,
tabs in one
cheers, cheers.
show. If we crush this one, we need 1,000 stars.
I know. Hey, you crushed it on live right now. We need 1,000 stars for that. That's
there
key.
you go. Let's see. Rick also says I have a ton of records as well as jerseys. Some happen to be authentic, and I paid good money to get those. Ooh,
Nice.
do tell, do tell. Some
It's
Toronto
always
Maple Leaf
good to have a
jerseys.
jersey collection, man.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And Legacy Nerd, I missed a live showing last night because I went to see Poison, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, and there was one more, right? Was it? It wasn't Pat Benatar. Joan Jett. It was also Joan Jett.
Yeah.
That was a massive concert at the Alamo Dome, I think, of all places.
I actually saw a very similar tour to that the year before COVID. I think it was 2019. I saw Kiss, Poison, Motley Crue, and it was an awesome show.
Yeah, Kiss is getting up there in age, but they were still they I think they have one more tour they're gonna go on this year. So that'll
It,
probably be it for them. They're already pushing 70, dude.
yeah, I thought they were going to bring Gene Simmons out on strings. Um, but
Hey
no, it
man,
was great to see him.
he can still perform, and I mean he's
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a smart businessman, dude. So respect, dude. He's the
Hell
first
yeah.
guy to go out there and market his brand, you know?
He was one of the very first artists to capitalize on licensing
Yeah.
and made a fortune on Kiss t-shirts
Yeah.
and Kiss everything, Kiss
True
toilet paper.
visionary. He was a true
Yeah.
visionary, man.
All right. We're going to move on to She Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Yeah.
This is the premiere episode on the Disney Plus streaming service. And I will first ask you, gentlemen. We learned about not only the origin story for She-Hulk, how she sort of gets her powers, slightly different in a way that they did it in the comics, but still kind of a blood transfusion or just a blood
Yeah.
an infection that she received where she gains her powers, and we learn quickly that she sort of has a better handle on it than Bruce ever did. But Joe, give us your thoughts on the premiere episode of She-Hulk
Here's the
featuring the
funny
one
thing
and
that
only Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah, here's the funny thing is that you have the faction of fans that are right now on social media, and from what I'm gathering, you either hate it or you like it. I enjoyed it. I didn't have an issue with it. I thought they were able to explain everything they needed to keep moving the story along, and it was enjoyable. It had a lot of comedy in it. It was fun to see the dynamic between the She-Hulk and also the Hulk, which is Jennifer Walker and Bruce Banner. So that was an interesting dynamic there, and seeing how she handles becoming a Hulk versus Bruce Banner's experience in becoming a Hulk. We learn a lot of things about their anatomy as far as their ability to process gamma radiation, and we
Right.
learned that she's a little better than Hulk, and that kind of has Bruce in a way, a little jealous. So I thought that was funny too, seeing how he gets a little jealous of her because she can do things a little bit different than him. And I guess he's had a tougher time going about doing things because he didn't have a teacher. He just had to learn it as he goes. Plus, at that, he had an army chasing him when he first became the Hulk, and everybody's trying to kill him. So he was a little bit. It was a more traumatic experience for him than it was for his cousin, and I think that had a lot to do with the way she was able to learn because she had a safer environment to do so. So I thought it was cool, and even the mention of one Tony Stark and showing Bruce's bar and all that kind of stuff it was cool, to see Bruce, Bruce Banner, in his human form, not the Hulk form, and how he was able to perform that, So I thought it was a good nod to show the Sakarian ship kind of steered the car off the road. They were trying to deliver a message which I'm sure is going to be they want to harken the Hulk back into the arena some way somehow. So that's going to be interesting to see where that goes too. I enjoyed it. That's all I got to say. I really enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun. Jennifer Walters being Bruce Banner's cousin and the banter between the two of them, that family dynamic, if you will. It was a lot of fun to watch. I love seeing Mark Ruffalo in the MCU. He's such a cool guy, and he's very funny. And he even has a new inhibitor, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
it
That's
didn't
the way
last
he
long.
was. Yeah, no,
Okay.
definitely. But I feel like that actually might come into play again in the near future because she's also asking for a similar device, and he's sort of being difficult with her, saying that it's not something he can just pull out of a hat. But I feel like it's going to definitely play a bigger role in the near future. The Sicarian ship, I don't know what to make of that. We really haven't had a plot yet in
Not yet.
this series, unless the plot is sort of either subtle or hidden to us at the moment. There might be things at play that we're not fully aware of, because being attacked in the middle of her in the courtroom, that was odd. But I feel like
Yeah, and
that
who
is
was
sort of
attacking her? That's the other odd.
absolutely, that was exactly what I was thinking. Who's attacking her, and
She kind of looked
why?
like a gladiator.
Well, that was Titania. Titania. Forget her name. Hang on, Titania. And why go at her knowing or potentially knowing that she has powers? Somebody knows something. It wasn't just happenstance, I don't think. So what's the purpose of it? That's what I really want to know. Legacy Nerd says the Led Zeppelin shirt was a good Easter
Yeah,
egg. And he also says, if I remember correctly, the inhibitor, the thing had an inhibitor. Did he really? Ooh, that's
yeah.
interesting. In the
Mr.
movie, they
Fantastic.
kind of did that in the movie.
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic had made it for him.
There you go. Maddie B, give us your thoughts on the premiere episode of She-Hulk, sir.
I'm going to give you a side A and a side B,
Ooh,
because I agree with both sides of the internet that Joe had reference to. I thought that it was a very fun, loving, easy to watch, funny at times show that I'm going to definitely tune into episode 2 for. The side A. Side B is, did we somehow just forget the Hulk story? That he went through so much. He even admitted to some of the Avengers, or maybe just Tony, I can't remember the exact scene, that he will try to kill himself
you sure did.
because of the trials and tribulations that it took for him to become an Avenger and to become a hero and to become accepted. And these are not things that you can just hand over like, oh my gosh, you're better at this than me. That's my Mark Ruffalo voice. I tried the best I could.
You nailed it, sir.
But I do agree with that side of the internet on that. What's earned is very important, whether the character is male or female. I don't, that doesn't even play into it for me whatsoever. Um, but is it earned? And it doesn't feel earned. And at some point through the show, I hope they make her earn it. But this first episode just felt like okay, this is why she's as powerful as she is, and we're just gonna, zoom past this first episode. And I think that that's why the initial reviews that we got in said the first episode was like okay, and then it does start to pick up and become some of the critics' favorite Marvel show. Maybe they will pick it up, and I hope that they do. But I do agree with some side of the internet of, hey, the Hulk went through so freaking much. And he tied us along with emotions for years, and we felt for Bruce Banner and this journey that he had, and it was earned.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a theory for that too. I think because of the amount of stress that the Hulk was under, it created that other personality, which was the Hulk and Banner.
Mm.
And she hasn't been under that amount of stress yet. She had it pretty easy, learning how to be a Hulk in Mexico, in this little beach bungalow that Bruce Banner has in a safe environment without somebody trying to kill her, and try to, chase her constantly. She was able
Mhm.
to go casually back home and go about her day job. But as we see with the introduction of this Titania, the superhero that came and interrupted her court case. I think she's going to be getting into this trials and tribulations as well. This has only been the first episode, but I think she's going to have her own path that she's going to have to go down, and she's going to lean, should I say, a lot on Bruce for some guidance and some help here. You know?
Yeah, and
If I may make a Star Wars reference,
Yeah,
Bruce is our Kenobi,
yeah,
and Jennifer is our Luke Skywalker. Uh, when you have a good teacher, when you have a good learning environment, Luke Skywalker picked up the Force really quickly. The dude didn't go through trials. The dude didn't go through sparring. The dude didn't go through courses or classes. He got taught
he
by
trained on Dagobah
Kenobi.
with Yoda. I mean, he definitely
yeah.
did. He went through trials and tribulations.
He
He had to
did
cut his
do
head
that
off.
later. He did do that later, but in A New Hope, we destroyed a freaking Death Star using the Force, and all he had was a crash course on a transit ride. Like that's all it was, really. So I think that there could be more at play, and if they decide to explain it, it'd be great. That way, we don't have to worry about this part of it. If they don't, I'm not going to stress out too much about it. But also, Bruce had, a very different origin of gaining his powers, and that could be the reason why they're having such a different initial reaction to the gamma radiation. The way that Bruce obtained his powers is drastically different than how Jennifer's receiving her powers. It maybe in a smaller dose, if you will, and also perhaps mixed with Bruce's blood already because they're related. She's actually able to process the radiation better or sort of harness it in a different aspect. It might be Bruce. He might be the reason why she's having such an easier time with it because
But yeah,
she's not
but
going
but you
through the
get
same process of gaining these powers.
Yeah.
She's actually receiving it through a very
but you're
unusual blood transfusion.
but you're kind of explaining what a Mary Sue is. Like you kind of just explained what that is. It's like there's a magical thing or an unknown reason as to why this person is so strong so fast. And to go back to the Star Wars reference, I hope what you're saying is true, and um, that She-Hulk is supposed to be Luke, and that the Hulk is supposed to be Obi-Wan. But I think with the other side of the internet that I'm also afraid of too
Yeah.
is scared of the Rise of Skywalker scenario, that saga where this is going to be Luke Skywalker and She-Hulk is going to be Rey, where she just kind of gets these things and there's not really any rhyme or reason why. You know what I mean?
The
Yeah,
the
you know
internet
what?
the internet's a funny place.
Legacy of Nerd has a good comment here, Ted.
There you go. Legacy says another thought is the years that Bruce has been experimenting on himself, she got that end result blood mixed into hers. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm kind of saying. Bruce might be the reason. And I hope, I'm looking at you guys. I hope that the writers of the show spend 30 seconds to tell us that Bruce can actually explain it away. Like you're receiving either a much different sort of dose than I did.
concoction.
He actually did it all by sort of accident, if you will. It's
Yeah,
a freak accident the way that Bruce got his powers. She's receiving a much more, I don't know if I would call it direct or focused way of receiving her powers,
because
but
she received it
that
from
could be the reason.
Smart Hulk. She received it from Smart Hulk, which is more of a a blending of both, the perfect blend of both Bruce and the Hulk together, Smart Hulk. So she's getting a more processable dose of this gamma radiation, which has already been kind of broken down into this more convenient form for her. You know?
Yeah. And my
I
only
don't
point
want
with
to
even
focus on
bringing
it,
it
so
up,
I hope they explain it. I
yeah,
Yeah.
hope they explain it so we don't have to worry about it.
yeah, and I don't either. But the only reason why I even like think about it a little bit is because the original that Avengers trilogy, the Endgame trilogy that we got, we went through a lot of trials and tribulations with a lot of these characters to get to that even first Avengers movie, and throughout they all had to go through a lot in order for us to take in those movies. And so it looks like they're setting up She-Hulk to be one of those main Avengers in this next phase. So I'm just hoping that all of the characters, not only this one, have to go through some more trials and tribulations. So when we get to those movies, that it means as much as it did in the last.
I could see that. Also, the same people that are sort of complaining about Jennifer Walters are also complaining that Hulk is that we even have a smart Hulk. Like there's all these memes and stuff about him doing yoga, and they're
Yeah,
like, "This is Hulk now," and it's like, "Yeah, bro," but we had the Banner movie, we had the what was the second one? We had the Incredible Hulk movie. I mean, we've already had the Hulk that you know and love. Like we've had the big smashing, crushing, destroying Hulk already. The first Avengers movie, like we've already gotten that. It's not gonna do us any good to keep doing the same Hulk every single movie. That works with Batman. Everybody wants the exact same Batman in every single movie. You can't do anything different. He's got to be quiet. He's got to make no jokes. He can't even smile. Like that's all people want. It's like, no, we need some variety. We need to see different versions of these characters. You cannot do the same one each and every time. Tony Stark hasn't been the same in every movie. Captain America hasn't been the same in every movie. Thor has definitely not been the same in every single
that's
movie.
a fact. Yeah,
He's been skinny, he's been fat.
yeah.
Case dismissed. Anyways, no, we need to see some variety.
But
And
that's what makes the
I,
Beast so appealing, right? The Beast, like everybody loves the Beast from X-Men, but he's kind of like the smart Hulk type character, right? Where he's
yeah,
savagely strong, but he's also incredibly intelligent. So I like that part of it too, and I hope that they continue. I hope it gets good. Again, I don't care about that part that much. I just hope that the story writers want to invest in taking these characters through trials and tribulations. So when we get to that point, it's it's huge, like it was in the last trilogy.
I'm letting everybody know you don't got to worry about trials and tribulations because Kang the Conqueror is around the corner.
Yeah,
And
he will be.
he's gonna put an absolute beat down on all these Avengers when the time comes. You are going to be it's gonna be the Walking Dead episode where Negan bashes Glenn's brains in and Abraham. It's gonna
Yeah,
be that episode. And all you folks crying about trials and tribulations are gonna be like, that's too much. What is Kang doing? These are the Avengers. You don't understand who Kang is, okay? Kang could arguably take down Thanos by himself with the amount of tech he has and possesses. I'm not even gonna go there, but I feel like he could probably easily handle Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet, of course. Is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, no, dark times are coming. You don't need to worry about that. Marvel's not afraid to put the hurt on the audience and the general population by any means. We're gonna get there. This is just the introduction of Jennifer Walters and She Hulk. I'm intrigued. I like the little nod to Bruce and Tony hanging out in Mexico. I thought that was
BB,
pretty cool. Yeah,
BB, and
BB
TS.
and
what was
TS.
the quote? It was a good time during a bad time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good time
Yeah,
during a bad time.
it was that was to me that was great writing, and it pulled the heartstrings and it brought you back. Like this is MCU, right?
yep.
And that to me I thought was a great line by the writers.
Yeah. I think maybe that's maybe the time that Tony went to go check on Bruce. Is maybe he sensed something was going on with him, and just
But
to hang
there
out
was
with
a lot
him.
of time, right, between the first snap.
Yeah,
So there was
What
like there was a good amount of years in between the first snap and the last movie.
yeah. I
So
think
it
it was
could have
like
been
4 years.
during that time as well, right?
Yeah,
Where half the universe is gone and they're just sitting in a lab, like, what the hell are we gonna do?
What
yeah,
did you guys think? Because I thought it might have been after Avengers. I don't know if they said it, but after the first Avengers, don't Tony and Bruce drive off in like Tony's convertible?
yeah,
And I thought that might have been the time where they like got
Yeah.
away and everything.
yeah. But he said that Tony would come and visit him and complain about Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
He says Tony would get drunk and just watch me build the bar and complain
Yeah.
about Rogers.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have those
Legacy
movies.
Nerd. Legacy Nerd also says there's only so much Hulk smash, Hulk smolder you can take. Absolutely, I completely agree.
And it gets
Um,
expensive doing
absolutely,
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the plot is. The first episode, I'm hooked. I'm a huge Tatiana fan. She was in the Perry Mason first season, and she was incredible in that show.
The
Season two
fourth
is
wall
coming
break.
out.
The fourth wall break. is amazing. I love that, and I love her like attitude and tone. Like her facial expressions were really good. It sold the comedy to me, and it did. I thought she did an awesome job. And also shout out to Jamila Jamil, who
Yes.
had to get suited up and all that for the CGI. She did an
She's
awesome job too.
she's got to be so busy. I feel like I see her everywhere. She's on like 5 different TV shows. Now she's on She-Hulk. Like she's extremely busy. But
Go
good
get
for
that
her.
money, girl. Go get that money.
Go get
Yeah.
that money.
Yep.
Yeah. Tatiana was in the first season of Perry Mason. It's on HBO Max if you want to see her do her work, do her thing on there. She's fantastic. That's why I knew she was going to be great on this season of She-Hulk or this series. And Perry Mason season 2 has actually been announced by HBO. So not sure when that's going to come out. Not sure if Tatiana's also going to be in it. I feel like they might write her character off because she had a pretty decent arc, but we'll see what happens. Let us know what you guys thought about the first episode of She-Hulk. Give us your fan theories. What do you think is going to go down? Why is the Sakaar ship even there to begin with? Are they trying to take Bruce back to be their champion, or is there something else going on? Is there something else amiss? Will we get a Jeff Goldblum cameo? That's what I'm really interested in. It's been too long since we've seen him. He was actually written out as something. I think it was Thor Ragnarok. They said he had a deleted scene. They decided to take him out. So
I think
I
it
would have
was Love
been
and Thunder is what he was supposed to
He,
come
he
in.
my
yeah.
bad. My bad. I
Yeah.
meant
I thought he was
Love and
in
Thunder, not
he
Ragnarok.
was in Love and Thunder.
No, we didn't see
Yeah, he
Goldblum
was
in Love and
his
Thunder.
scene got deleted.
There you go.
What? I feel like I remember seeing him in there, but I love Jeff
No.
Goldblum, so I'm maybe just be pulling him from something else. Well, he was in something else kind of similar, right? Around that time,
Mm,
he was in Thor Ragnarok. Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah, he was
That's
in
that's
Ragnarok.
yeah,
I misspoke. I said Ragnarok. I meant Love and
yeah.
Thunder.
So I was
Uh, Legacy of Nerd says he saw a theory. It was Scar. Scar is Hulk's kid. Is that right?
Yeah.
yeah, Son of Hulk.
Son of Hulk. Yeah.
So he must have been getting busy, when he was out there doing his thing. Not as smart Hulk.
Are they?
I mean,
I
hey,
I like the idea, but I feel like right after Love and Thunder, where like Thor's now a foster parent. Like, are you just gonna make all the Avengers parents now? This is what we're going towards. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe
well,
it
it's a
is.
natural progression of life.
Mhm.
Superheroes, need babies too.
It
Well, they're
absolutely
setting up
is.
the next generation of Avengers already with all the successors. You know.
They sure are. They
The
sure
Sakaara
are.
ship is definitely setting up Hulk World War, though, for sure. I mean,
We'll
it's
Oh
see
yeah.
Hulk.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the thing is that the Hulk can't have a standalone movie because for whatever reason,
Fox owns it.
no, it's actually CBS
Universal.
that owns
Oh,
it.
it's Universal. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was
They own it.
CBS, and I think it fell to Universal now. So they can go ahead and kind of block the movie from being released. So Disney has to work out a deal with them, in order for the movie, a Hulk standalone movie to be released. They don't really own the rights to say, but they own the rights as far as the character, I guess. So it gets all crazy, man. It gets nuts.
It is crazy because when you have the rights to something, you also inherit the rights to all the side characters, the villains, and all that stuff. Yet we're getting Abomination in Shang-Chi, and now we're getting
She-Hulk.
Abomination and Hulk in She-Hulk. So it's like, what do they really own? Because they could just make a movie and have Hulk in it as a side character, and just don't call it a Hulk movie. And like Disney and
Well,
Marvel
yeah.
Studios are good.
It's such an interesting time of the 90s that was going through, and a lot of the licensing and all this stuff and who owns what, it was like tied up in amusement parks and like TV series and sort of these things, and it got
Short-lived
chopped up
TV
between
series.
like 10 different people. And then some of those went defunct and they started selling them off a little bit, but I think Disney has the paycheck. I mean, come on, Disney.
Well,
You
they've
know,
already brought the
they
Star
could
Wars rights, and they already bought Fox, so
they could just buy it though. It wouldn't
they
hurt them a
could.
bit, even if they paid top dollar. They could just buy it.
They could.
So it's like,
They
what's holding back?
There's been rumors that um they actually got the rights back sort of on the down low. So I don't know if any of those rumors were factual or not, but
They're
it's
not
a
yet.
possibility.
They're not yet. I think what happened is that CBS had it. And I think it fell to Universal. Universal doesn't own the movie rights, but they own the character rights. So Disney would have to buy the character rights back, so they wouldn't get blocked from releasing a full length standalone Hulk movie. You know.
Yeah.
So in order for them to do that, they'd have to cut off some type of portion of the proceeds to Universal. You know, it's crazy when you think about it, but these are the deals that were brokered back in the '90s for some of these high end licenses. You know, for some of these Marvel characters, and it's a shame that at the time they could have really made something special. I mean, what we got out of this whole thing is a really good animated series from the X-Men, which I'm excited to see come back. But I
Oh,
mean,
hell
when you
yeah.
think about it, that was about it. If you ever watched the actual Fantastic Four movie that was released in the '90s on VHS, it was an abomination.
Oh god.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Legacy Nerd says I would love World War Hulk with Sentry. That would be sweet. Yes, the battle between Hulk and Sentry would be absolutely amazing because Sentry is he's OP'd, bro. Uh, Receiving his power from the sun. That'd be awesome. He also says they were saying the deal is only for movies though, not limited
TV.
to
TV or
TV
web-based
or web-based
series.
series. Sure, but then again, as I mentioned, how do you get Abomination in Shang-Chi? Because usually when you get a character, you get all the side characters. And so there's got to be some sort of loophole where they're able to do that.
They have a licensing agreement. I think it's because the gray area is it's not a standalone movie. It's he's kind of like a making a cameo. You know
Mm,
what I mean? So that's okay. And they actually even used the original actor who played the Abomination to give it
right.
more authenticity. Which, to me, I thought that was a nice touch. They could have recast, but they used the exact same actor. So that was amazing to me. Nice
I
touch.
think I think it's almost criminal that we haven't had a Red Hulk yet. I was such a big fan of Red
Mm,
Hulk, and I
yeah.
thought we were so close to getting him, but
You have the Red Hulk, the Gray Hulk, so we haven't really seen much of them yet.
yeah, the whole Agents of Smash. One day we'll get there, but not anytime soon. Universal has some sort of first dibs distribution rights, I think. Yeah, sounds like it's what it is. Very cool. Well, can't wait to see what happens. Interested to see what the plot's going to be like. Mark Ruffalo and Tatiana, they're so cool together. I love the chemistry, the dynamic between the two of them, because you're getting that sort of cousin primo prima sort of dynamic between them. I love the banter, and yeah, interested to see what the storyline, the plot's going to be. See who our big bad's going to be, who's pulling the strings. That's all going to be really good. Yeah, looking forward to it. Alrighty then. We got one more topic for tonight, and also let us know what you guys thought about the first episode of She-Hulk. Give us your fan theories as well on what's going to be happen going forward. We want to hear from you guys. Drop it in the comments or email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. Real quick, our final topic of the night is going to revolve around the city of Santa Carla, the murder capital of the world. We were at the Summer of Santa Carla event celebrating the 35th anniversary of the Lost Boys movie that came out in, I want to say 86, 86, maybe 87.
It was around there, yeah.
87,
Yeah,
came out in
there you go.
87.
87, and the Frog Brothers were in attendance, both Corey Feldman as well as Jameson Newlander, Jason Patrick, who was pretty much our main character from the film, who played Michael on the movie. There was also Billy Worth, who played one of the vampires. I think they were called something, David's Disciples or something like that. I can't remember. And then also V. Neal, who was the makeup artist on the movie. She was in attendance as well. And then Gerard McMahon, who now goes by G. Tom Mack, who was the writer and vocalist for Cry Little Sister, the theme song of the movie. He was
Hmm.
also in attendance. I did 4 interviews with one with Billy, one with V, one with Jameson as well as one with Gerard. Got to see Corey Feldman in the flesh. Uh, cool guy. He also had a performance last night that I wasn't able to attend, but I'm sure it was very unique and interesting.
Yeah, his
Definitely,
music is wild, dude. It's
it
eclectic.
it very much is,
Well,
and
so politely.
more power to him. He also performed in Dallas, I think, Friday night, so he's on a little tour right now. But all in all, it was kind of a great event. It was at the Wonderland of America's Mall, the old Crossroads Mall. There's over 100 vendors there, so big turnout. A ton of attendance. It was over 2 days. I feel like it was a success for the most part. Corey had some car issues on Saturday and didn't make it till really late in the evening, but
Mm.
he stayed and apparently got through his line, so people were happy about that.
Good on
I
him for showing up, you know?
definitely. And I had a really great interview with Gerard McMahon. I enjoyed all my interviews. But Gerard G. Tom Mack, who wrote the theme song, we had a great 5-6 minute interview about the writing process for it. And I'll just kind of summarize this. And also, if anybody wants to see any of these interviews, they're all on our YouTube channel at Countdown City Geeks.
Legacy
Uh,
of Nerd has another comment, and it's hilarious, dude.
hang on. Here we go. Is uh is he still saying he's being followed?
Feldman.
I I don't know. I didn't ask him. I don't know if I would have asked him, but yeah.
No, I wouldn't have gone down that rabbit hole, dude.
Yeah, I kind
I
of want
would
to stay
have.
away from that.
That's tons of views right there.
Oh man,
I would have asked it.
poor guy, dude.
Here you go. If you guys want to see any of the interviews, check them out on our YouTube channel at Countdown City Geeks. I'll just
Did
quickly
you upload them too to the
summarize.
TikTok channel as well, or Instagram?
We'll cut them up. We'll put them on there. Just want to get the full videos out first. They're actually kind of short, so
Okay.
there's some reels out there. But with Gerard, what I found interesting was that he wrote the theme song without watching any of the footage. So Joel Schumacher, who was the director for this movie, Richard Donner was also a producer on the film. Like this was no laughing matter. Like this was a production filled with extremely talented people behind the scenes. But Joel Schumacher gave the script to Gerard and said, "I love your work. Would you mind, writing a song for the movie?" And Gerard, who's English, he's extremely talented. He's a great vocalist. He's got a great voice. He he was playing or rehearsing in a studio, and one of his friends from across the hall was in a different studio, working on an instrument, and the bass was resonating in Gerard's room. He could hear it, so he asked him what it was, and he used it for the song. So "Cry Little Sister" starts out with that. And so that's how the inspiration for the sort of the beat came around, the bass. And then he wrote the song, gave it to Joel Schumacher. Joel Schumacher called him back immediately or in a few days and said, "I love it. I've been listening to it nonstop. We have it here on the set. Everybody's jamming out to it." And Gerard said, "That's great." He was kind of worried. He was like, "I don't want you to overuse it in the movie," but Joel did it anyways. There's sort of a compromise though, because it was the intro, it was played throughout, but Gerard asked Joel to take his vocals out of most of the movie. And it's true. Once you hear the intro, the theme song play in, there's no vocals from Gerard in it. When it's playing throughout the movie, there's no vocals from Gerard in it. And then I told Gerard, so if I understand this correctly, that what I remember is your vocals first come in during the love scene between Michael and Star. And he gave me a huge smile. He was like, "You're right." And that's what I pitched to Joel, and Joel loved the idea. So that's how that came to fruition. So it's a perfect union between music and film, in my opinion. I don't think you could have written a better song for this movie. It encapsulates the tone of the entire film beautifully. It really is like a perfect union. And what I'm learning as this event happened and all that, this movie was pretty much made on the fly. And you kind of hear movies that kind of go through that. Ghostbusters was a lot like that. Like there was a script and all that, but people were just kind of throwing ideas out as things were happening, and they were good ideas, so people went with it. Lost Boys was a lot like that. People were writing things on the fly, changing things on the fly, and it worked out. You see the end result. It's a cult classic. It's extremely popular. Thousands of people flew in from all over the country to come to this 2-day event, and I don't even think it got a ton of marketing. I think it was a lot of it was word of mouth, and
It was all on social media. I didn't even see any commercials on TV.
that's what I'm saying. I think all social media, it probably could have had a bigger push. Maybe next year they'll do it again. This was the second year. Next year, maybe it'll be even bigger. I met a woman from New Jersey, flew all the way from New Jersey to come down to this 2-day event, and she loved it. She loved it. Got to meet Jason Patrick. She probably met Corey Feldman, and it's exciting. So had a good time. Got some great interviews. Again, if you want to see them, if you're a fan of the Lost Boys, go check out the interviews that I posted on YouTube at Countdown City Geeks. Uh, Thou shall not batnips. Legacy Nerd says
Well, it's Joel Schumacher, and he directed the Batman
yes
movie with the. Oh yeah,
with the batnips.
okay.
And just to let people know, right now, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you can see they can see the tomato score that the Lost Boys has gotten. It's at 75%, but the audience score is 85%. I go more with the audience score.
I agree.
Yeah, it was a great film. Also a good time. The mall that it's in, I'm on the way over, and I'm taking an Uber to the mall, and the driver's like, "Oh, you don't want to go to North Star Mall? Are you sure you didn't mean North Star Mall?" And so I'm like, "No, no, this is definitely the mall. You know, it's okay." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And so she drops me off, and I walk in, and I'm expecting it to not be that great of a place. I don't. Every retail store in San Antonio should come to this mall. As soon as I walked in, it had a smell like a mall when I was a teenager. There was geek stores everywhere in there.
Yeah,
The
they got
the
an anime store.
tile and the sort of the architecture and everything sort of kind of brought me back to what a mall used to feel like when I used to think the mall was the coolest thing ever. And they had the obvious pizza place, the quick Chinese place in the food court there. I don't know, something about just the smell, the entire experience, all of the retail shops that I saw. I thought it was an awesome experience and the perfect location to do a Lost Boys con. It's just there's nostalgia in there, and you can feel it. And everybody in there was in a good mood. The lines were out the door.
It's
They were
also one of the
so.
most haunted malls in San Antonio, by the way.
Is
So
that right?
yeah,
Then we need to do a Ghost Heads radio there, Ted.
you go ahead and knock yourselves out.
Which part? Because when the theater was there, it's not there anymore. But well, it's there, but it's closed down. So I
All of
actually
it, Teddy. All of it.
I worked at the Bijou for a few years, maybe 1 year, 1 year and a half, and I never experienced anything. But I felt like this is probably haunted in some way. It always had an eerie feeling, but also it's like the really old rundown mall that has this old rundown movie theater in it. So could have just been me.
There's you know who you should get with, who actually did a ghost session out there, an extensive one. Russell Rush, when he was doing his haunted tour, you can go
Wow.
back and look at some of the stuff that they were able to kind of find on their haunt, and there
Yeah.
was some good stuff, man.
We got to go check that out. It can't be more haunted than River Center. River Center is like a stone's throw away from the Alamo. I'm sure
Yeah, the
that place is
governor's
the most
mansion
haunted.
downtown's some bad things happened there too, man. So
Everything. What building downtown isn't haunted? I feel like they're all haunted for all very good reasons.
what was a whole
Let's see.
battleground right there in front of the Alamo, it's spanning acres. It's
Yeah,
not
that's what
just
I'm
the
saying.
Alamo itself. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I think this fall we'll be back to um 13th floor. I want to go back. I want to do another live stream from there. Had some weird uh tech issues out at 13th floor that I still can't explain to this day. Is it the spirits? Who knows?
They had my piano there. I had an old rundown piano,
What?
and the owner actually of the 13th floor bought it from me because I put it up on Craigslist, and he brokered a deal with me. And he's like, "Hey, man, I can either give you the money or I can give you 4 VIP tickets to come to the 13th floor because I own it." So he goes, "If you help me put the the piano in the truck, I'll give you. You can. It's your choice." I said, "I'll take the 4 VIPs." So
Absolutely. I would have taken that too.
it was a good time, man. I enjoyed going out there, and the guy, he's a great guy too. So
He's a
wouldn't mind
fantastic guy.
hanging out over there.
We need to go back. Legacy Nerd says I showed the movie to my niece by chance a month ago. She loved everything but the Michael Starr storyline. What? What's wrong with the storyline? I thought it was extremely well done. Let us know what she didn't like about it.
You know,
I'm
we need to have a
intrigued.
movie night, Ted. We need to have a Countdown City uh, movie night
Ooh,
at
just
Teddy's
wait.
house. Teddy's house. He's gonna bring out the projector.
Just wait. I have something brewing that I'll tell you guys about here in a second.
I do have a 120-inch projector screen that I just purchased not too long ago,
Interesting.
and it can either be projected from the front or from the rear. It works both ways, so that'll be fun, dude. We should set that up.
Definitely. I will let you know. But I have again some things brewing, and we'll talk about that.
He said
Announce
brewing. You get that? Hint,
make
hint,
some
Maddie B.
announcements here
Something
Yeah,
in the
is
next couple of
brewing.
weeks.
yeah, something's brewing in a very small, quaint micro brewery somewhere that Ted has a wizard over a pot to make the most eclectic beer you've ever had in your
As long as
life.
it doesn't have Ted's face
Mm,
on it, I'm good, dude. I'll drink it.
mm. It's my Ghostbuster flight suit on the can.
Yeah.
The
And,
onesie.
and speaking of the 13th floor, this isn't just like a Ghostbusters thing. I ain't afraid of no ghost, dude. We can do a stream up there. I
Yeah,
ain't
that's what
scared of
you
that.
say now. Let's put you in
Yeah.
there by yourself with a flashlight, and when it goes dark and you
Hey,
can't see anything,
nobody said
you
anything
tell
about
me
being by
different.
myself.
Oh yeah,
That's
you want to be a
completely
badass?
different.
We'll put you in there by yourself.
All right, I'll do it on the live stream, but
Yeah. I'll be watching you from the outside.
the amount of stars that we can make in between now and then will determine how many minutes I'll stay alone
Ooh,
in there on camera with a flashlight.
there you go.
We got to take bets, see if Maddie will
There
pee
you go.
himself.
I have an evacuation tube. I'm fine. I have a catheter. We'll work it out.
Oh my!
100 stars, and Maddie B will stay overnight at the haunted 13th
By himself?
floor by himself.
100,000 stars.
By himself? Live stream the whole event?
Now, I will. If we do 100,000 stars, that's only 1,000 real U.S. dollars. It's not that much. Between now and the time that we would set it up, I will put live streams in there. I'll put an air mattress on the floor, and I will sleep in there, guaranteed. Or I'll shave my head. I
There you,
promise you, I'll do that.
I think he has his head shaved already.
No, no way.
there you go.
Uh,
Legacy Nerd
Uh,
says his niece was upset that Michael was ready to die for Star just after one time. I mean, to be fair, did she see Star? I mean, Star is arguably probably my first crush. I think. So I completely kind of agree where what Michael was where his head was.
yeah, there's my boy Rocky. My
Rocky
boy
Rocky
Rocky. What's
Cards
up?
is in the chat. What's going on, brother?
I think Rocky's says that's a go for you, Maddie. He wants to see you go out there by yourself.
Listen, okay. These
Oh
bangs
God.
are not afraid of anybody. I promise you. I look like an anime character right
That's what
now.
he said.
I'll go
You know
Super
what? He's so
He
brave.
ain't
Let's take
afraid
him
of
out
no
to go meet the
ghosts.
donkey lady.
Ooh,
Ooh.
you don't mess with the donkey lady, Joe. You know better, sir. We can't get Matt killed. He hasn't even been in San Antonio for a whole year yet. Like you're.
He won't get killed, dude. We had a car and just let him
That's
out on
what
the bridge.
everybody says before they mess with the donkey lady or Lechusa
Well,
or La
all I can say is
Llorona.
I haven't died once. I haven't died even one time. So I think I can handle it, you know? I haven't even died once. I've been here for
Look at
32 years.
Rocky. Hey man, I think Rocky might scare the donkey lady because he has those short shorts, man.
Oh my
We
god.
love you, Rocky, man. We always make fun of him because he's always wearing short short. He's a young guy, man. He has got a big old tat, you know. And shout out to Rocky because he just got an article of his published with the San Antonio Express News.
Oh hell yeah!
Nice.
Way to
Well
go,
done,
Rocky.
Rocky. Good job.
Cheers, bud.
Rocky loves Emily. Cool.
All right.
Yeah, that'll do it for the Santa Carla Summer of Santa Carla event celebrating the 35th anniversary of the Lost Boys. Check out again the interviews that I did on YouTube on our channel at Countdown City Geeks. Appreciate the comments. Billy Worth, who played Dwayne, one of David's vampire buddies, he still has a big lady following because they're all commenting on his video. Billy's around 60 now, and the ladies are like, he's still fine. I'm like, all right,
He's
cool.
still pulling the ladies.
He's still pulling the ladies all these 35 years later. Billy's still got a good female following. Good for Billy. Let's see here. Rocky says, expect another article coming out tomorrow.
Good,
Ooh,
man. Good things coming out for Rocky, man. He's on it.
putting
He's
in
on it.
work.
Yeah,
Putting in
everyone
work.
check out the Star Tribune tomorrow. We got another one coming out. Way to go, Rocky.
Yeah.
The Daily Planet. He's writing for the Daily Planet. Check it out.
Hey, Rocky is Superman. He can do it all, man. He's doing his thing, and shout out to him and all the guys what they're doing over there with my friend Rudy too with Sweep the League. Go ahead and check them out, man. They got a good podcast that they do. I think they do it every Wednesday or Monday now, so go ahead and check them out as well.
Absolutely, please do. And while you're checking out all that stuff, I also want to announce that we have dropped another Comic Con panel video on YouTube. So thank you everybody who's been commenting, who's been sharing. We had some pretty big shares this week with the panels for Brandon Routh, the panels for the Sailor Moon, Giancarlo Esposito. I don't need to say anything more about that. Everybody and their mother shared that when that video dropped and when that came out. But also, I dropped today the panel video for Ross Marquand, who was a fantastic guest. It's a ton of fun. I highly recommend you check it out. Ross, you know him from The Walking Dead. He also played Red Skull in Avengers Infinity War as well as Endgame. He also played the voice for Ultron in Multiverse of Madness. He also has done some voiceover work on some Marvel properties, video games, and all that stuff. It was an extremely fun panel. Dude is hilarious. We had such a blast. We had the crowd going the whole time. You can find this video on YouTube. I'll probably share the link right now and check it out. Also, leave a comment on the video. Let us know what you thought about it. But it was a ton of fun. I had a blast interviewing him, and he's one of the best impressionists in Hollywood today. So he dropped a bunch of impressions Matthew McConaughey, Christopher Walken, you name it, and it was a ton of fun. As I mentioned, we had the entire crowd going. So please, please, please check it out when you get a chance and drop a comment on the video. Also, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, Countdown City Geeks on YouTube, with more panel videos coming soon. And anytime we do interviews, that's where they're going on YouTube. So please, please, please uh, check it out and subscribe.
Hey, my buddy Rocky here says so. They talked about House of the Dragon earlier. He said, "Never seen Game of Thrones. Do I need to watch it then House of the Dragon, or is it something he can pick up right away?" Is what he's asking.
Do you? I have an opinion on that. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So my first initial thought process was no. This is taking place 200 years before, around 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and you don't need to watch it. That being said, they tease some stuff in this first episode that I did not expect as a fan of Game of Thrones. So I'm telling you this based on my initial thought that you don't have to watch the first show to understand this series. But if they decide to really, really lean into this stuff, the lore, that sort of Game of Thrones was sort of built around, then yeah, I might change my mind about what I just said. But it all depends on how heavy they decide to lean into this prophecy that they dropped at the end of the first episode. It's very intriguing why they did that. Could it mean more? That's what we're all wondering today.
For
So
sure.
yeah,
But as and I can kind of give an opinion on that too because I'm in your same boat, Rocky. I have never watched Game of Thrones, but to me, there should be no reason why you should never be able to watch a prequel before you watch anything else. Like if you just saw the Phantom Menace, I don't think it would spoil anything for you moving forward
Yeah.
in the Star Wars universe. So take it either way if you want. I didn't take anything as necessarily spoilery, but you know, uh, you should be able to watch a prequel, right?
I think
yeah,
he
you
should be
should.
able to enjoy House of the Dragon. It might be a segue for him to get really into Game of Thrones. You know?
Exactly. Because actually, now I'm thinking about going back. The only 7 season thing I've ever watched, I think, is Breaking Bad ended at 5. Sopranos, maybe they had season 6 A and B. I think that's the only thing I've ever watched 7 seasons of. So, but this is actually making me want to go back and be like, hey, maybe I'll invest that time into it now.
Yeah. Hey, me and Maddie, we got to do a review here pretty soon about the Dragon Ball
Oh,
superheroes
oh,
film.
one
That was
hundred
actually
percent.
good. That was really
It was
good, man.
it was hella good, and I like the money behind it too. You can tell that they're reinvesting back into these storylines, and then it's a continuum of the same storyline. So we're going to get some continuation of the story into the episodes of Super, and so I'm totally excited about it. I thought it was incredible. Beast Gohan, just saying, Beast Gohan. Woo.
Hey, they finally addressed that. They finally addressed that because
Yeah.
he was one of the strongest, and he kind of fell off, and now
hmm Oh
starting to
yeah,
make an emergence again. That's what everybody's been
as
waiting
he
for.
should. And
Yeah.
it's a Piccolo Gohan story.
Oh,
We haven't had one of those
souped
in a
up Piccolo was awesome, dude.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, there needs to be a review on this out tomorrow. You gentlemen get to work ASAP.
Yeah. No, we can do it whenever. Yeah.
Legacy Nerd says Game of Thrones, you just need to get past the first 6 episodes and it takes off. Yeah, I agree. I feel like the first season's a slow burn, but they introduce things you've never seen in a series before. And so it's worth sticking around. It's also kind of a quick watch. I mean, the first what 5 6 seasons have only 10 episodes, so it kind of is a quick watch. It's not like it's 15 or 20 or anything like that. So I think you can get through it pretty quick. And then the last 2 seasons, they had those reduced seasons, right? I think the final season was what, 7, and then season 7 maybe had 8, 6 or 7 or 8 episodes. So it's a quick watch. I feel like.
Yeah, you could tell at the end they
Um,
just didn't give a damn anymore. They just wanted to get it over with.
I guess I would have too, but yeah. Definitely. Just through the link in the chat, it's actually pinned. If you want to check out the Ross Marquand panel from the Superhero Car Show and Comic Con, shout out to those folks over at PMX Events. We had an incredible time. We're actually going to do a recap episode now that we've had some time to process it and things are starting to slow down. Legacy Nerd, you are definitely invited. Our friends over at the Goods, Con Culture. We're gonna get all these folks back just to kind of shoot the shit and talk about the convention and what their favorite parts were about it and what the experience was like. All in all, an all around success, if you ask me. I know Manny feels the same way.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that
And
would be a good
um,
roundtable discussion. We could have you guys come over here in the studio, and we could go ahead and do that for real, man.
Joe
Yeah.
wants us in the studio. We're gonna
I
have to
do.
go to the studio to make him
I'm
happy. We're
down.
gonna have
I'm
to do
I'll
down.
that.
get you the bougie beer you want, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I'll,
can't
I'll bring a
afford the beer that I want.
I'll bring a case of
I
Miller
can.
Lite, and me and Joe will have some
Yeah,
fun.
we'll be just fine with Miller Lite, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Awesome. Listen, this has been a great episode. Appreciate everybody joining us. Rocky, Legacy of Nerd, Rick telling us everything he likes. Appreciate that, sir. Appreciate the subs that we got. Appreciate you guys immensely. Jericho didn't get to on the show today, but maybe next week. Braxton, shout out to Braxton for commenting earlier on the show. Listen, if you're just learning about the Countdown to the Geekcast, we are one of three shows that we do on a weekly basis. Tomorrow, be back here on YouTube or Facebook to check out our pro wrestling commentary show known as the Countdown City WrestleCast. They're going to be talking, I'm pretty sure, about the local event that was in town this past weekend by Mission Pro Wrestling, which is the wrestling organization that is led by the one and only Thunder Rosa. They had a great charity event over at the Salvation Army Saturday night. Mike and Tommy were in attendance. They're on the show, the WrestleCast show. They got some great photos. They got some great videos. They were front row, like the wrestlers, like diving and falling in their laps. So they had a blast. They'll be talking about that tomorrow. And then Wednesday, come back Wednesday, me and Matt are going to do another live stream for our Ghost Heads radio show that focuses all on
Update, update, update.
Ghostbusters, on
It's gonna
Proton
be
Pack
Friday.
Modding.
Friday.
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 It has to be Friday because, and this is the reason why. Friday's episode is a very, very special episode, and we're having multiple guests who are featuring on that show.
Here we go.
And Friday is when they can make it. So as a ghost head, this is our time of year. We're coming alive right now. Fall time's right around the
Absolutely.
corner. So it's football season. It's time to fatten up. I already got my meal plans going to put on a little bit of weight. I need to fill out this flight suit, and we're going to be rolling. But we have a very heartwarming story of someone who went through a terrible tragedy, and we were able to gather our resources as ghost heads, as franchises to help them out. So we're going to be highlighting them and their journey and all the things that we can do. So Friday, it's normally going to be on Wednesdays, but this is
This
a
week,
special
Friday.
Friday episode.
Sounds good. Yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. For the Countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Steady. Joining me on this She-Hulk and House of the Dragon premiere discussion is the man behind the magic, Joe Garcia.
And thank you for watching and listening and interacting with us, everybody. We greatly appreciate it. Shout out to you, Rocky. And little known fact, Rocky actually got slapped in the chest by Thunder Rosa because they were trying to raise money for charity for the Salvation Army. So he's familiar with her power.
The great Thunder Rosa, still women's champ. And also, my partner in crime, the one and only Maddie B.
Oh, God.
Crushed another can, boys.
That's what 2 beers does to you. That's what 2 beers does to you.
Oh, man.
Ooh. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you, folks.